Welcome to another episode of The Clever Angle. We're still on this mini-series, Voicing the Silence, and today I have De'Jeune, a pastry chef and owner of Jam Confections. De'Jeune, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. What have you been up to during this crazy time?
Um, Not much. Actually, I've still been working, still been baking. Um, Not as much of the usual things that I do, but we've still been working. Thankfully, it's not been too crazy during this pandemic situation.
Yeah. So, as I said last week on the podcast, we're going to be highlighting black business owners. So, De'Jeune is a pastry chef, like we said earlier. She's going to be talking a
Yeah.
little bit about her business and how she got there. But first, I just want to get your thoughts. What do you think about what's going on as far as like the police brutality and all of these other things outside of the pandemic?
Right. So it's been really wild, but I'm glad that it's kind of come to a point where like everyone else in the world can see all the stuff that we've been seeing, just because of phones and social media and stuff like that. That now people understand why black people have a certain type of feeling towards police in general. That it's not just because we're always doing something bad, but that's just kind of how it works out in where we are, where we're from. So I'm definitely glad about that. But just the whole situation and just the whole situation in general, that you could just be anywhere, minding your business, doing, just being yourself, and something could happen to you that really makes me nervous.
Yeah.
I don't even have any kids, but I think about that. Like, what if I have a black son? Like, how do I tell him to respect the police, but watch your back because you don't know if they're really for you, So I think about stuff like that, and then I have a lot of, I have cousins and uncles and brothers, and I think about them, just being at the wrong place, and they don't have to be doing anything bad, as we see.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of crazy, but I like that everyone is getting to see now what's happening, and so there are other people, other races that are, and around the world, which is awesome, that everyone around the world is joining in and saying, this is wrong. Like,
Yeah.
something needs to be done. So I really appreciate that everybody is kind of unifying, and it's a really bad situation, but hopefully all this protesting and, just everybody trying to come together, we can actually get something to change. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. So I had this question that a lot of people have been asking me, who aren't black.
Uh-huh.
What can, white people do? Like, where do we go from here? What are some of your thoughts on that? Like,
I mean, the I guess the most, what they could do is, use the privilege that they have to help, combat some of those things. Like, sometimes you might see some of those things, some racial injustices happening. Maybe they don't, say anything, or maybe they don't, see it as a problem. They don't understand why. But which a lot of people I've noticed on social media, like, we're trying to educate them. Like, maybe something you used to do, you didn't realize was something that that didn't affect you because of your privilege, but now you understand that you probably never had this problem with police or being followed in a store or anything, like that. And maybe you can use your privilege or your I want to use another word, your influence, I guess,
Yeah.
to just help change the situation, help change the procedures in certain places or um, things like that.
Yeah, I definitely think that's something that has to happen because while it's the black community that's being affected, we need everybody to pitch in if we're going to make a
Right,
change. So
right,
I definitely
right,
think
right.
it's important for people that do have white privilege and have influence. If people see
Mhm.
you making a change, then it's just going to do nothing but
Right. It make it
help everyone. So, one more question about the police part.
okay.
As a black person, as a black woman, have you ever felt profiled, or have you ever had any kind of run in with the police?
I really can't say I have, but I was pretty sheltered too, just for those same reasons probably. Um, I was pretty sheltered too, but I have, kind of you kind of internally feel away like, okay, I need to just really watch what I'm doing, like don't do anything crazy. I kind of feel the way around the police, but I can't say that I've ever been like stopped or profiled or anything like that.
Yeah,
Fortunately, um, but yeah, I've definitely heard stories about people who have, but I probably just um, I didn't really get out as much like that either.
yeah, and I think part of
'Cause
that is your parents knew not to even put you
right,
in those types of situations because they grew up in a different generation. It was a lot different growing up in
right,
the 70s, 80s versus growing up in the 90s. So, but yeah.
for sure,
So
for
okay,
sure.
that's the current events. Everybody knows all of the things that are going on with that. It's been
Uh-huh.
crazy. Little Rock is
Yes,
just
yes,
my older sister lives there, and she's been telling me like horror stories of things that have been going on, and it's just eye opening that even in a small place of the United States like Arkansas, this
right.
is has had ramifications. So yeah, it's a scary time,
Yes,
and the only way we're going to be able to get through and grow as a country is to do it together for sure.
for sure. Yeah, we have to do it together, and it's been great. It's been great to see just all people coming, to support and fight for what's right. So that's been really awesome to see. This, but in the same token, a lot of people who have these other strong opposite opinions have come out too. A
Oh
lot of
yeah,
them are definitely coming out. But the good will win in the end.
yeah.
So just keep pushing that.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because there's a lot of people that I thought stood on the same side as me, or had the same beliefs, or
Hmm.
and true colors of being shown on social media. People that I would never think that it would even speak out about something, or finding you know feeling compelled
Yeah,
to speak out about this, and it's really sad because I don't want to have hate in my heart for people, but at
right.
the same time, like, what do you do to people that are persecuting you based on things that you were born with? The
You
color of
can
your skin.
control. Right,
Exactly.
right.
So I've definitely been grappling with that a bit. But yeah, I'm just trying to stay positive, trying to stay um,
Mhm.
ahead of everything, and just trying to use this as a platform to get out um, some of the things that we're feeling in the black community, just to kind of show people a different side that you might not have seen, because some people,
Uh-huh.
the only interaction they have with African American people are in the media, what
What
they
they see on
what,
TV. Uh-huh.
exactly, they don't
Yeah.
have interpersonal relationships with us, and I just want to show people a different side that they might not have known that existed.
Right. That's awesome. That's a good idea. That's really awesome. But yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, we're not all that the TV shows as
yeah,
we see now. The media shows they want to show. Well, I
exactly,
mean, we've been on there, but
yeah. Okay, so let's switch topics. That's a
okay.
little somber of a topic, but I wanted to get it out
Okay.
there because those are the conversations, the difficult conversations that we have to continue to have if we want to see a
Right.
change in the country.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about you. Let's talk about baking and pastries,
Let's
and
go.
let's talk a little bit about your journey. So you and Destiny, my wife, for all of you who
Yeah.
don't know me personally, went to Arkansas Tech together. What was
Yeah.
it about like culinary and school, or getting into cooking and baking that stood out to you?
Okay. So, I went to Arkansas Tech for a hospitality management bachelor's degree. So before that, I kind of started baking like in junior high, baking cookies and stuff. And then in high school, I used to do everything, every club, cheerleading, band, everything. And one year I took off cheerleading and I didn't want to do cheerleading. And so I actually ended up getting into a cake decorating class at like a Michael's or Hobby Lobby. And I did that. And I was like, you know what? I really like this. This is really cool. So I kind of, after that, got into baking even more. I was doing cakes and cupcakes for everybody, all my family and friends. And so then it was time to go to college. I had to decide what I wanted to go to college for. And so I was like, you know what? If I could bake every day, that would be fun. And I could get paid for it. Then let's see what routes I can go with that. So I also wanted to have the actual, like, the college experience. I didn't want to go to a culinary school. I wanted to have the full, like, college experience. So somehow we stumbled upon Arkansas Tech. Back then, it wasn't, like, one of the most popular schools, so we didn't automatically know about it. But, yeah, so we found it, I guess, on the internet. And I was like, okay, this hospitality management, that's a good fit for me. So let's do that. So that's how I ended up at Tech. And so basically the program is like half culinary and half business. So we take business classes and then we take culinary classes to learn, the operations of the business and all that. So it's really great. I really had an awesome experience. I would do it again.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. I'm like you though. Before I met Destiny, I really didn't know much about Arkansas Tech at all. So that's really cool that you
Right,
kind of you stumbled upon it in a different way as well.
right,
So yeah, you said there's a business portion and like a culinary portion to your degree. That's really cool.
right.
What?
Yes. Yes, we had like so in our hospitality building there's like a full out like commercial kitchen that we work in, and then there's like a dining area, and we would have dinners that anybody in the community could come to like once a week. And so in one class you would be in the back, serving. I mean in the back making the meals, and then there's a different class that does the front of the house and serves and deals with the guests. So it was fun. It was really interactive. We actually catered the president's box, like during football games. We would have little appetizers that we take up there and serve them. So we had a lot of hands-on learning and opportunities in that program. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it brought back a lot of memories when you said front of the house. I worked at a restaurant
Yeah.
for 6 years, and oh
Oh
man,
yeah.
it's a completely different experience dealing with the customer versus working like back of the house.
Right in the back.
Yeah.
Yes.
So a question
Yeah.
that I did have about the culinary side. You said you wanted to
Hmm.
do baking. Was that like a
Right.
something that you could focus on, or did you have to cook like full meals and stuff as well?
Well, okay, so actually the baking part of it wasn't really as intense. I think there was like one class that you could take, and it was like a summer class that was like all baking, and I actually never took it. But I do actually enjoy cooking savory food also. So that kind of helped with that, with learning about savory food and preparation and all that stuff. And pretty much, to be honest, I've been watching Food Network like all through high school. Like that's all I watched anyway. So I had a lot of like back knowledge that I learned
Yeah.
from TV and stuff. But I actually didn't bake much in that program. Actually, my let me think about it. My junior year, when I got an apartment with a kitchen, I started baking. And I brought my little mixer back from home and kind of started baking. And then that's actually how I started with the business. Um, I posted a cake one day, and somebody was like, one of my college friends was just like, "Hey, can I buy that? Can you make me one or something like that?" And I was like, "Hey, so I guess I can sell these. I need some money, right?"
Yeah.
So then I made a little Instagram page, and I was like, "Okay, well, we're selling cakes now. Let me come up with a little name." So at first, my business was Days Delights, with my name being De'Jeune. So it was Days Delights, and I was just making cakes for all my friends in college. I still had some family that was in Little Rock. I would make stuff for them too, but the majority it would be like just people I met on campus that needed sweets. So I practiced on them. I kind of learned. I took that one. No, I took two classes. I had taken another class while I was in Russellville to learn how to do fondant and different other techniques, make flowers and stuff like that. But besides that, I pretty much taught myself up to that point about baking and decorating. And so, yeah, so the orders just came in, and that was just my little side hustle for that time.
Yeah, so it's funny that you're telling this story because you sound a lot like my sister. She does like a similar side hustle type thing in Little Rock.
Uh huh.
She
Oh yeah.
she bakes all kinds of crazy stuff, cooks for people, and so one of the questions that arose from what you just talked about: how many cakes were you making during this little side hustle period, and how long did it take you to make them and pricing and all that? Like, what did that look like?
Okay. So I would probably do at that point. It really just depends, but probably just like maybe a few. I'll probably have a few orders a week. Probably by my senior year, I was doing like maybe like 4 or 5 orders a week. But my senior year, I was also working 2 other jobs, so that was the thing too. But I would, wake up before work, finish up after work. I was getting in it. I was getting in there. And as far as pricing, which that's part of what we learned in school, how to price things, how to price food, your food costs and all that. Figuring out how much it costs you to make, so you can figure out how much you make from it, right? But at that point, I was still kind of like, oh, well, I'm baking in my house. I don't want to charge too much, you know. And so my prices were affordable for college kids, and
Yeah.
I was making something, but also, I was still kind of learning too. So I couldn't have been doing anything, extra. I couldn't have been charging absurd prices anyway because I wasn't all the way there yet. So
Yeah.
I was just happy they were giving me challenges. They were like, "Hey, I seen this cake. I think you can make it. I want this for my birthday. Here you go." And I'm like, "Okay, haven't done this before, but I'll try it. I'm pretty sure I know the techniques to do it. So thank you for trusting me." And mostly, I think pretty much most of the time I could make it happen. So that was really good experience for me. And what else was I gonna say? I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean that's awesome. I just had like I was just wondering a little bit more about the business side because this degree
Okay.
is really intriguing to me because I don't think that Arkansas State offered anything like that.
Like
So,
that.
um,
Hmm.
will you just explain a little bit more? You said you talked a little bit about like food cost and pricing,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I did a little bit of that at Outback. We would have weekly
Right.
meetings called like directionals where we went over food waste, food costs, ways we could bring
Hmm.
more customers in. So, what are some of the other things that you learned from this degree on that side of things?
So we definitely had a class about marketing, different ways to market things. We had class about Oh, we definitely had to take accounting in the actual business department, and that was a struggle for most of us, but we made that. We definitely did economics. We did. I don't know if the food. I think we did a hospitality accounting too, and that's the part where we did all the food costing and things like that. Basically, like sitting down, even in the class where I was telling you where we had to cook, it would be a week where I, as the student, made the complete menu, appetizer, entree, dessert, and I had to basically I had to plan out the whole meal and cost it out. Each ingredient in a recipe. You say how much does this cost, and figure out how much it costs per plate. And then you would also have to figure out, as far as portions, like we have 36 reservations. How much will we need to buy? Also, how much meat, how much of everything. So that's all those are very important as far as running a food business. We learned about inventory. When you order inventory, don't wait till it runs out. It's to order more, and how to receive inventory and track it, and things like that. Which all of those things I have used in other jobs. So it was a really good starting point to be in this industry, because a lot of those things a lot of things we use in bakeries that I worked in and food places. I had learned those things in school, so I felt very prepared being actually working in the industry. I feel like I was really prepared by the program. So
Yeah, it sounds like it for sure.
yes.
When you said you had to take accounting, I was like, oh yeah, that's a lot more complex than I was thinking for sure.
Yeah. Accounting was very difficult, but we all made it. We made it through.
Yeah,
It
so I
was
mean,
difficult.
you do
I
taxes on the
understand.
side too?
I'm sorry.
I said, do you do taxes on the side too?
Oh no, 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 no.
Um,
Nah. I was.
yeah, so I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but I have to
Are you
ask,
okay?
if you were gonna make your signature 4 course meal, like what would it consist of?
Ooh, signature. Okay. So what I do the most, what I've done the most. Oh, because I guess I should throw this out there that I actually do cook savory, and I actually do travel and do people's like private dinners.
Yeah, so like,
So
oh, that's awesome.
um, yeah, I do it pretty every once in a while, usually during a holiday or something, or somebody's anniversary. But I usually do like 3 course meals. I think the most popular thing would be like crab stuffed mushrooms, like portobello baby mushrooms. Um, Usually for entree, we have some bacon wrapped asparagus, some fresh some fresh Parmesan with potatoes, or what else do I use right there? Or we could do some type of pasta. And then usually for the entree, people usually get steak, some type of steak, and a lobster tail, or yeah, they usually get lobster tail because they're trying to be extra fancy. So I'm here for it. I'm here for the extra. So we used to do a steak with a little herb butter on top, and then for our dessert, I think the most popular thing is probably cheesecake. But I've done a
Okay,
few
okay,
different things. I've done a bananas Foster cheesecake, so get the little flambe going, and
okay.
then put that over put that over the cheesecake. So it's a little extra. I,
Yeah, yeah. That's
everyone's loving some more.
so. Yeah, you got a lot of stuff in your bag. I see.
Yes, I do.
So,
Yes,
so
yeah.
what do you
I,
usually charge for something like that? Future
whew,
reference.
I mean, um, I usually try, as long as I usually let people pick what they want.
Yeah.
So depending on how they want to be, as long as the food cost is under $50, I usually charge like 200
Okay.
to travel, and it usually takes it's usually like 2 hours because I'm cooking. Everything I bring is fresh. Everything is prepared at your site, whether it's like some people have been at like a cabin, or I've done it like in a hotel suite that has a little kitchen. I've done that too. Like I should get extra points for that small kitchen. But I've done it in that, and then sometimes I do it at their home or whatever. But so everything I'm making is made there, so you can watch if you want. Some people don't; they're just kind of enjoying each other until I bring the food out. But yeah, so it's all live and direct.
That's awesome. That's really dope.
Hey.
Might have to talk to Destiny. We might have to book you for a
Yeah.
day.
Yes, please. I'll definitely come up.
Yeah. So, okay, let's just transition a little bit after college. What did your after
Okay.
Arkansas Tech life look like?
So after I graduated, I actually stayed in Russellville 1 year after. I had actually gotten a job. Well, my senior year, I worked in the calf. We actually had got our calf remodeled, and there was actually a bakery section. So I worked in there my senior year, and then when I graduated, I was able to be the head baker. So I had maybe like 2 people under me. So that was really cool. So I stayed there, and with that, I didn't really get to control the cost or nothing. That kind of came from above, so they would kind of tell us, what we couldn't do. But I was, just in charge of managing the other people and making sure that we got our catering things out, because our school did catering too. So if they needed something from us, it needed to be, made and plated at a certain time. So, just making sure everybody was on the same page. It was a good experience. Just working in a cab was a good experience. I definitely learned about baking in large quantities, because they're college kids and they just eat. They eat a lot. They eat a whole lot of everything, and they would eat anything too. So that was a really good experience. So I stayed there for a year, and as the head baker, and then after that, I kind of wanted to move. So all my friends had moved out of Russellville, and it's small. It's not really a lot to do. I didn't really want to do college age stuff anymore, so I went to move. So I didn't want to go back to Texarkana, so I moved to Little Rock. I have a little family in Little Rock, and so I actually there was someone, I can't remember the girl, but I had met her before, or she was from, I think she had went to Tech. I didn't know her, but she was the manager over Gigi's Cupcakes in Little Rock, and they also did cakes. No, I know who it was. It was a girl who worked in the caf with me. At first, she was the manager at Gigi's, but by the time I was going to move down there, she had to move. So it was another girl who actually also went to Tech too, but she was the manager. And so I went to Gigi's. Obviously, I wasn't getting paid a whole lot, but I was like, okay, I'm going to try to make this work, because I want to be in a bakery, where I can learn something else. Because like I told you, we didn't really learn a whole lot at school about baking, right? Yeah. So I actually only stayed there for like 6 months, just because the pay wasn't enough. And, like with a corporate business, they sit down, you can only have this many hours. And so hours were getting shifted and moved. And, I'm moving into a city. Like, I need a steady income because the city cost is it was a lot different than Russellville, where I had my $400 2-bedroom apartment. Like, that was at the same in Little Rock.
That's a
right.
That's a big difference from Little Rock.
Right. It's a huge difference. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to make this decision. Even though I love the workplace, the environment was great, the people were great, and I did learn a lot of things. I had to move on from that. And so, one thing that I tried to um, just say to myself, like, no matter what job I'm gonna take, because there might be some jobs I don't want to do, but I want to try to take something from each job. Like, just pay, because of course my goal is to have my own business at the end. So while I'm doing these other businesses for other people, let me take notes and pay attention to how they run things and what works and what doesn't work. And so, with that being a corporation, a chain, because they have GGs everywhere. From what I got from there was how to make these consistent, right? Because anywhere you see a GG's cupcake, you're gonna know that's a GG's cupcake. Like, even if you don't see the box, if you just look at it, you know where it comes from. So I just paid attention to kind of like how they taught us, how how the baking was done, just everything that made the cupcake look the same every time. And even the fact that, like, if you can swirl the correct way, they don't let you swirl. Like, you don't get to put icing on the cupcake if you can't do it the right way. So I was like, okay, I understand. I understand this for consistency reasons. So I'm noting that. So from GG's, I went to Mickey's. It's a Black-owned business in Little Rock. They specialize in like wedding cakes, and they do all kinds of cakes, but they do cakes. Like, I have never seen so many cakes come out of one place. So a family member recommended me to go there because I was still kind of doing cakes, and they were like, okay, you should go over here. So I wanted to go there to basically learn more about cakes because, I still had kind of been learning for myself at this point. So I went to Mickey's, learned how to stack cakes, how to ice cakes, and basically this is like also how to do cakes on a like huge scale, basically almost commercial scale, even though it's a small business. So there, it was an okay experience. I won't, go into it too much, but I definitely learned the importance of like your what do they call it? Your employee culture. Is that right?
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
employee culture. Like, is your space like a good, is it good vibes? Like, do
Yeah.
your employees like being there, and how that affects their work, like how they work.
I would argue
Um,
that that's the most important part of a business.
right. Yeah, it's super important. Um, that and just like employee retention and how that affects your business. For certain reasons, people would come and go so much, and I could see, that was affecting the fact, like, this business has been there for like, 10, 15 years and always had good, reviews. But if you have to keep changing your people, then that could affect your quality of your product, and then it's not the same all the time, and, that affects your reputation and all that. So, I took notes of all that too. But it was really, that was a whole different experience because, they were a small business. So, of course, they don't have the, the security, the financial security of a corporation like GG's would have. So, in a lot of ways, they are more like, okay, this is something we need to do to save money. This is something we need to do to cut waste, because you don't have as much expendable money like that, right? So it was definitely a whole different experience, but I definitely learned a lot there too. And so at being there, I was actually just from all the experience I had up to that point, in baking, I actually was probably like one of the most experienced, or I was one of the better bakers there. So I ended up, getting a lot of tasks that were like, okay, only De'Jeune can do this thing because she's the best person to do it. We're trying to do our quality. We're trying to keep our quality up. So here, you make these things and nobody else can make them. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to be pretty good. So from there, I actually end up, I think I only stayed there 6 months too, because the pay was really the same. Hours, it was just like a, it was just like a kind of a conflict between the business needed to make more money, so the environment wasn't that awesome, and just the self personal, I guess, I don't know if this is like personal satisfaction, like as being an employee, like
Yeah.
you like to feel at the end of the day you did something, like we did a good job, we completed this list of stuff we had to do today, and I just wasn't getting that, and I was like, I don't know, like I'm stressed outside of work because I'm really not making enough money, but I'm stressed inside of work too because I'm not really happy. I'm not feeling like I accomplished anything. So I was like, yeah, this is not going to work, but I did learn a lot of things from here. And, so I just kind of went on to look for something else. And as I was looking, I stumbled upon the pastry chef position at the Country Club of Little Rock. And I was like, let me look. I mean, I don't know. I mean, whatever. So I was kind of looking at the description. I was like, okay, it's like you need to know how to do pies, do cakes and cookies, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all this stuff, I've been doing that stuff here at the, at that bakery, and I've done stuff at Tech, and I'm like, okay, I can do this.
Exactly. You got the experience, yeah. So I've got one question before we move on. What could they have done differently to change that employee culture for you to get that satisfaction?
Probably just,
I was just saying, so because up to this point, I almost feel like these jobs that you've had in Little Rock are kind of like mini internships, which I forgot to ask you if you had like an internship through your degree. But it's like you're gaining this valuable knowledge, and now you're about to move on to your third job, and now you've got the experience, you've got more skills. So I'm just wondering if was there anything that your previous job, did you say it was called Mickey's? Is there anything they could have done to keep you?
Probably if they would have just gave me more money.
Yeah.
But but I mean, I could understand from a business side like why they couldn't give me more money also. So I didn't want, I wasn't gonna just sit there and hope that one day they would give me some more. They just had me doing a lot of things, and I don't know what. I don't know. It was like a family business. So, sometimes you got too many people, giving orders or whatever, and everybody not on the same page. And so that kind of was a frustrating thing too. So I guess maybe just, I don't know, just provide a more positive atmosphere and pay me some more money. Yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely the atmosphere and just how you feel when you're at work, no matter what job you're doing. It's just it's so important, because I've had mixed reviews. Like when I worked in a restaurant, we had a few managers that made the shift fun, and we were serving tables and bartending and that type of thing. But it didn't matter, because we were all on the same page. We were having a good time. It was just a good place to be. And then you have some managers that kind of run it like a dictatorship, like you're expendable, I'll fire you. You get a lot of that when you work in like the food industry. They're like, I'll get somebody in here in the next day and be doing your job type of thing. So I was just curious. So we're on to internship number 3, and you're at the Country Club, you said, right?
Yes. Okay. As far as internship in college, I actually just did one with the cafeteria company. They did like catering. So at the university, all catering for any event on campus has to come through the cafeteria.
Yeah.
Catering company. So I did catering for that 6 months. So just anything, like the president of the, once a month when the president and the cabinet have a meeting, we go and set that up and give them cookies and lunch and whatever. And so with that, I kind of just learned a lot about presentation, just making sure your food looks good, make sure it's set up, and everything you have all your silverware and cups and glasses and drinks. So it was pretty simple. I had done some catering, so but it was still a good experience. So now when I'm at food events, I know how to set up a buffet. I know how to make sure the tables aren't too close to the buffet so that people can walk by. Just little things like that. But it was a really good experience. But anyway, back to the third job. So I applied for the pastry chef thing, and they called me back, and I was like, okay. So for this job, which there's several country clubs in Little Rock, and apparently this is like the one. Okay, so I was a little nervous when they told me that, and I said, okay, well, they said we'll give you like a test, like a cooking test. So we're gonna tell you need to make, some chocolate chip cookies, make some. I forgot what I had to make. Chocolate chip cookies. You had to make a specialty cake, a regular cake with writing on it. I had to make creme brulee, which I had never made at that point, and I think I made a fruit tart or something like that. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna get this job. Let me figure out how to make this creme brulee. And I had 2 days to do it. Like I could break it up in 2 days, but basically, I brought my own recipes and I just made what they asked me to make, and then they tasted it and they said, we'll call you back. If we decide we want to let you have it. And so then they called me back, and I was in there, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I was kind of just shooting, but I mean, I had all the stuff, but that's kind of a legit job. Like I didn't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was it. I got in, and so basically with that job, as a pastry chef, I was over anything sweet, anything that had to do with the bread, that came in. So, in that country club specifically, they have 2 restaurants that people would just come in, daily. So I had to make the desserts for those, and then they would have catering events. So the catering event, the previous experience came in for that. So they would have catering events just all through the week. And I would have to have the desserts ready and plated for that. And sometimes there'd be buffets. Sometimes they have themes, and they just say, make us 3 types of desserts that fit this, this Halloween theme. Like, we just make whatever. So that job was really, well, it was long hours, of course, like just being in any kitchen. Long nights and early mornings, but it was really fun also because I had a lot of creative, I don't know what the word is looking for, but I got to be creative. A lot of the things they would just say, we need desserts, just whatever. So, whatever I had seen or I had something that I had been wanting to make, and I think that would go over well with this crowd, then I just got to make it. And then also every Sunday they would have a brunch buffet. So also with this buffet, there's a dessert table. So with that, I also had to just come up with whatever. Of course, there was certain things that they would, there were certain things that they would like for me to have on the table every week, but besides that, I could pretty much make anything. So I would just Google. I got to the point where actually I was running out of ideas, and so I would just ask people on Facebook, like, give me some desserts. I don't know. I'm trying not to cook the same thing every week, but I need more ideas. So it was really fun, and it was different from my other 2 jobs because in this job, we didn't have a budget. So if there was something that I wanted to make or I needed to make for a catering event and it required some special chocolate to be flown in from wherever, like they would order it. And, so, and then it was kind of like an open like an open pantry type thing. The fridges and all were always really full, fully stocked. So if I'm making up desserts, I could just kind of, I always just say, I feel like I'm on Chopped or whatever. Like you just run into the pantry and get,
Yeah.
grab whatever. I'm like, okay, I see these raspberries that need to be used, so maybe I'll make something raspberry today. And so it was really fun. It was a really fun experience, but it was definitely there were definitely some long day like holidays and stuff. Of course, we worked all of those. Pretty much every holiday we worked. And so there were a lot of days I was on my feet a lot, but it was cool. And it was also cool because as the pastry chef, like, nobody's over me except for the executive chef. So I could basically, I kind of was on my own schedule. It wasn't like, anyone checking on me. Like, have you made those biscuits yet? Or, kind of like no one over my shoulder to tell me what to do. But as long as I got my things out in the time, they were ready for the catering event whenever it happened, then I was good.
Yeah.
So that was kind of good too. Kind of had that freedom to just, breathe and do things on your own time. So that was really nice. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. So how long did you stay at that job?
I was there for a little bit over a year. And after that, I kind of wanted to, I had been saying, I've been working on my business stuff. I still wanted to do my business. Because obviously with this job, I did a few cakes here and there, but I wasn't really able to do everything like I wanted because it was so time consuming. But after a while, I had kind of been working on my stuff, and I had gotten my business license and everything already, and I had decided to change the name. So that's where I got to Jam Confection Company. And I actually got that name from Jam is the initials of 3 of my grandmothers. Oh yeah, I forgot to say that part. I didn't realize until after I started baking in college that my dad's grandma actually was a baker, cake decorator. She passed away when I was like 2, so I never met her, and I had never, really heard very much about her, but she was actually a whole cake decorator. And so I was like, oh, okay, so that's where that came from, I guess. And so here we are. So actually there was a family house that they had where I guess my grandma used to live, and it actually ended up being sold like around that time. And so there were cake pans still there, and so I got some of those cake pans, and that's when they were telling me about that. And I was like, oh, okay, so yeah, so maybe this is just in my blood that I feel need to do cake decorating and baking. Yeah, so my other grandma, one of my mother's, I guess my mother's mother actually baked some too, and then I guess she would be like my god grandmother, but we just call her my grandmother. She's the only one that's alive, and she bakes and cooks. She's like the grandma that like does the whole Sunday spread, like with several cakes and stuff. So I always kind of peeked her, and we baked together some too. So I put all their names together. I actually went through a list of like a jillion other names, and all the best ones were like taken or they just didn't work or something. And so I ended up coming back to Jam, which was, I think my mom suggested it actually in the beginning. And I was like, oh, I want to find something else. And so we actually ended up coming back to it. And I was like, okay, I like it because it has some sentimental value.
Yeah.
So I went with that. So I had went ahead and, got my business license and all that. And then I decided to, leave the pastry club, the country club where I was working as a pastry chef. And I just decided to go ahead and just do it. And I was like, well, I pretty much had everything there, but I just wanted to go ahead and do it because I was like, I'm missing so much stuff. I could be doing so much more, but I'm here, with this job, and it was getting kind of stressful at that point. It had its own, some issues,
Yeah.
cultural issues too. But for overall, that was a good job. I really liked it. But I just wanted to, kind of do my own thing, and I had been, all the way up to this point, I've been saying, I want to have my own business. So here's the opportunity. So I just did it. Um, so yeah. So after that, I just started to bake and full time. Okay. So in Arkansas, you can legally bake and sell from your house. There's some restrictions and stuff, but for the most part, I mean, you can do cakes
Yeah.
and other desserts and stuff. So I started with that, and so I just kind of had to um, practice. And this is then I had to go back to the marketing and advertising skills, that I had kind of touched on in college and that I had kind of seen in other places. Um, so I had to get myself out there. So in Little Rock, I said I did have some family, but you know, it's still a really big city. So it was
Oh
kind
yeah.
of hard for me to, well, yeah, it was kind of hard for me to break into. I was trying to get new people, but to get, but the good thing was the kind of like, I was saying all my college friends had moved, but a lot of them actually moved around Little Rock, like in or around Little Rock. And so a lot of them are actually still coming to me to get cakes and stuff. Like it's really crazy, and they would refer me, and some of them would drive an hour or two, to still come get a cake from me, and I was just like, oh, really? Like that means a whole lot. But they were kind of holding me up because they were still coming to order stuff. Like I was doing their cakes in college, but now some of them had baby showers, and now they have the first birthday, and it's like, okay, this is really cute. I feel like I'm part of the family, and I'm still making and there's some people who from college who stuff I still do. I think one girl, we are on her daughter's fourth birthday, and so she even moved out of Arkansas, and she'll have somebody from her family that's coming, to where she lives to come pick it up,
Yeah.
and make it and get it there. I'm like, oh wow, like y'all really love these cakes. That means so much, because you could go anywhere, there's bakers everywhere, there's bakeries everywhere. So that really means a lot to me. But so yeah, I was just baking. I had those people who already knew me, but I was trying to kind of get myself out there to meet some new people. And I was kind of feeling at first like, how men are with their barbers,
Yeah.
like they only go to their one barber, and you don't you don't go to anybody else. Like I was like, maybe people are like this with their cake people too, because most of the people here know somebody who's been doing their cakes, and
Seriously.
they don't want to just like try somebody new. So I was like, okay, well this might be a little harder than I thought. Then I had to convince them, that maybe you should try me instead, So I actually just kind of started trying to do like different pop-ups, and I did the farmer's market, during the summertime, just to, advertise my business and just be in front of some people that I had never met before. And this is also when I realized I kind of have like, I guess like social anxiety, horrible time to find out. But I always been like a personable person. Like I like people, but as far as trying to like go up to a stranger and sell to them, like that makes me nervous.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, I'm like, oh, these people don't know me, and and I'm also a person that doesn't like, when you go in a store, so I'm trying to automatically like tell you something, and they're all in your space.
Yeah.
Like I don't like that, and so I try not to be that person. But that's kind of part of the game, to sell stuff. So
Exactly.
I kind of had to, work over that. But doing the farmers market and just like getting in other little events, they had like in Little Rock they have like a I forgot what it's called, but it's basically like a night market. It's basically like a event with like tons of vendors that sell all kinds of stuff. And I got in that once, and it was really good. Of course, I was the only sweet person, and so that was good for me. And so I realized that a lot of people that do desserts and sweets, they don't really do like pop-ups. They're not trying to vend.
Exactly.
But of course, for my end goal, that's kind of like where I'm trying to go. So, I'm trying to do that. So, a lot of times I would be like one of the only sweets people. So I usually do pretty good whenever I go somewhere and I can be out. So also while I was in Little Rock, of course, I would go to events in Texarkana still. And I also got a lot of support from people in Texarkana. I will say that too. As far as cakes and events too. So I actually pretty much traveled a lot during that time. Yeah, if I could get one booking, then I would just, advertise as much to try to get 2 or 3 more bookings in one trip, just to make it worth my trip, to go to Texarkana. And so, yeah, I did pretty good. It was just a kind of self-learning and just trying to better my business and just to use all the skills that they kind of taught us. And then I was telling someone yesterday that I kind of had to learn the whole social media marketing thing because, I was in school like 6 years ago. Yeah, we didn't learn about social media, like using social media as a marketing tool. So I had to kind of learn okay, there's certain times of the day that you need to post to make people see it more. And, your pictures need to be on point because that's what's, people are going to respond better when you post pictures of your actual stuff. And just the fact that you need to be consistent. And I just try to kind of mimic the people that, just other big companies that I see, and I see what they're doing, and I just try to do it myself. Especially with being consistent. And I'm like, I don't want to post too much. At first I was kind of like that. I don't want to post too much. And, people will probably be tired of me, blah, blah. But, how many times do you hear that same commercial on the radio or that same commercial on the TV? All the time. And you know that little jingle by heart, even though you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, yeah, just keep, just keep going. Keep pushing, advertising, just staying consistent. So I definitely learned a lot as far as pushing my brand for myself. So it's not been. I mean, I won't say it's easy because I think a lot of people. I noticed a lot of people have been getting in business lately, and I don't know what they expect, but it's definitely hard work. I feel like it's definitely hard work, just because it consumes a lot of your time. That's what I would say. But the benefits, when your customers are happy, their event goes well because they got a great cake, they had great reviews. All of that is why I do what I do, just because of, it makes you feel all great inside, warm and fuzzy, that you help somebody out, you help their event, you made a kid happy on their birthday. That's what I do it for.
Yeah,
and it's fun to me too. It's fun.
Yeah.
So, it's a creative outlet. Yeah, so I love it.
So where are you at currently in your business, and what is your ultimate goal for Jam Confections?
Yes. Okay. So, so right now I actually moved back to Texarkana 6 months ago. Just because I want to be closer to my family. I am now. I do my business through a commercial kitchen. I rent a commercial kitchen at a church, which is another thing that you can do. um, if you need a commercial kitchen for any like food, like catering or whatever. A lot of times the church will have like a kitchen that they use once a week or whatever. And so most of the times they'll rent it if to someone. So this is actually a church that I grew up in, and so they were happy to help me out by letting me rent the kitchen. And so I'm able to get my permits and my health certificate and permits from the city, to officially run my business using that kitchen. So that also allows me to, get from under the cottage laws, like I was saying, has rules about what you can bake in your house. So at this point, I can make anything, and I can sell, I can sell anywhere. But my actual goal, which I am working on right now, actually, my dream goal is to have a food truck, a dessert food truck, right?
Yeah.
I had this idea, like, it has to be at least like 2 or 3 years ago now, but I'm like, okay, this year we're going to do it for real, because I am very close right now. So I want to have a food truck. I had this dream about, like, how like kids run after the ice cream truck.
Yeah.
So like, I was like, oh well, everybody, adults and kids can run after a dessert truck, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So so I just see the opportunity, especially with like the food truck scene growing like it is, and a lot of times. Which I'm a foodie also. I just really love food in general. So I've been to a lot of food truck events, and I noticed that, it might be like one or, it might be a truck with like funnel cakes and like fried Oreos, but that's it, So I'm like, it's a wide open market. So I'm ready to jump in that, and just have some extravagant treats and desserts and milkshakes and all kind of stuff. Or possibly possibly a storefront. I should say or. Because I definitely want to get that truck at some point. But definitely a storefront would probably actually be my next, just a small something, just to be accessible. Because right now, with me being in the kitchen, all of my orders are like they have to be delivered or pick up, and I'm learning about people. As consumers, I should say, consumers really like to just buy impulsively, and they don't prefer to pre-order things. They would rather just come and see what you have and buy all of it, or whatever. Because I have a menu with tons of things, and all you have to do is just pre-order it, like. But people don't want to do that.
Yeah, people don't want to wait.
They don't. They want it when they want it. So I understand that. I can't fault them for that. But so my next thing is just to try to be more accessible, whether it's the truck or the storefront, just to where I can be, out somewhere and say, this is where I am today, and these are the things I have. Come by and buy them. Buy all the things I have. And of course, I would still like to do cakes and stuff like that. Because cakes are more like, that's the money makers, really. That's what Mom says, cakes pay the bills. But I just kind of started getting into wedding cakes last year. Well, no, the year before last I did like 2, and then last year I probably did like 5. And so that's something else that I would like to keep doing that too. But I definitely want to do something with just some smaller treats, and just have where people can come pick up something sweet whenever you're feeling, whenever you're feeling a need. So that's my next move right now. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. I could just picture your dessert food truck, and I'm like, yeah, I've got to go there.
Yes, and I'm just like, so many events. We could just be at a birthday party, be at,
Exactly. You just pull up on somebody
at the
with a
park, anywhere,
yeah.
Anywhere. It's just so many opportunities for that type of truck. So I definitely want to do that soon.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
I definitely appreciate you breaking down your story like that. There's a lot that I
Oh,
didn't know, and it's very
yeah.
insightful. Man, your degree just had me intrigued from the very beginning when you started talking about it. So, yeah, just thank you for taking this hour to sit down with me. Is there anything that you want the listeners to know out there about what it takes to excel in your career field?
Ooh.
Yeah, we're putting you on the
Well,
spot
I
today.
would say, well, I would say as far as just being a chef or just in the restaurant food industry, period. Of course, it always comes with long hours on your feet, lots of dedication. But you get to use your. I mean, to me, it's the way to use my creativity. Um, and I enjoy it. Like I get satisfaction out of finishing something and it looks amazing and the person is happy. And it could be with food or with desserts. Like either way, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. But yeah, so that's kind of just. I mean, it's hard work. It's usually hot if you're in the kitchen. It's definitely hot, but it's definitely I definitely get satisfaction from it. So yeah, I just like making the people happy. So that's what I do with food.
yeah,
Like I was telling somebody one day, like, how have you ever like just shown up and given somebody dessert or food and they were not happy?
exactly.
Like so I think yeah, that's just my method of making people happy.
Yeah.
Food.
All of your social media handles will be in the show notes so people can reach out to
Okay.
you. Uh, thank you for sitting down with us again. This has been another episode of The Clever Angle.